welcome everybody. 10th anniversary of NEDAS, which is really quite amazing, this fantastic organization, and we are live back here in New York at Convene on 42nd Street, and I get to hang out with the man who started it all, Ezra Hug. First of all, I'm going to thank you on behalf of all 400 people who are here today for getting together this idea and getting the right people in the room to create it and to make it happen. This must be a little interesting for you to hang out for the day.
Yeah, it's been impressive. I'm especially impressed by the new logo and the new marketing. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, it's a far shot from where we started, and 10 years ago. So I didn't realize it was 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
Wow,
I mean, but it's been a bit of an organic build. I mean, of course, nothing happens all at once. It doesn't happen as a cannon shot. I mean, as you look around the room today and you see what it is that's taking place, the scope of it, the number of people, the number of companies represented, how does it call back to the humble beginnings of this particular gathering? Yeah,
it's interesting. So I think in the beginning it was much more, I wouldn't call it a fraternity, but it was much more, I guess, social, friends, industry associates at all different levels, with all different involvements. I think in the beginning it was people like Steve Yapsuga, and it was folks like Walter Cannon, Ray LaChance, and I mean a whole bunch of people who I'm not going to mention, but a lot of good local New York City tri-state area telecom professionals, and since then I've seen it expand to include more regional, entire Northeast, Mid-Atlantic. Actually, a lot of Midwest, some West Coast people.
Midwest. You've got Texas represented.
Yeah,
you've
it's
got
great.
Chicago represented.
Central.
It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, Alyssa's she's done a great job. I mean, we started off, I'll be honest with you, started off with my LinkedIn list, with all my contacts, which I think at the time was 800 or 900 people. And I figured out how to export that list. And through MailChimp, I emailed everybody. And
you're just going way deep in the technical weeds right now.
Oh yeah. But it worked. And the only reason it worked was, to be successful, you need to have focus. You need to have a little bit of vision, and then it's a lot of elbow grease. And I think at the time, there was definitely the vision, and I think there were enough people that were interested in building everything. It was new enough and it was cool enough.
That's what I was going to say. What was the vision? Tell me about the original vision.
Yeah.
Basically, what were you thinking?
Yeah. Well, so at the time I was a consultant working for a company, and I was traveling around to numerous wireless conferences, and the wireless conferences were typically centered around outdoor, macro, kind of generic, wireless, cellular. And at the time, there were occasional panels on DAS and outdoor DAS and whatever. And I had just been working at American Tower. I'd left American Tower and I was consulting on my own. And Steve Yapsuga and I had this great idea. And the idea was, let's have small events where we educate people on in-building DAS. And we can make it kind of informal and social, and we can have people come to us. So instead of us going to all these conferences, we'll have people come to us. And so it started off innocently enough. And then my wife and I kind of ratcheted it up a little bit and decided to kind of take it to the next level. And so we hosted our first social on Martin Black's rooftop in, I think it was Chelsea, on a very hot July night. And somehow, through the contacts, we were able to cobble together about 80 people.
Wow.
And had a full bar, and everything was free. We had a photographer, and it was kind of glitzy and glammy and fun. Got a lot of good photographs, and then just kind of used social media. And social media at that time was a little bit less Facebook, and LinkedIn was important, but it was still a little bit.
It was infancy at that point, really.
Yeah, it was a little bit niche for telecom people. So I think anything that you put out there that was kind of visually compelling and interesting, and people saw some carriers there, and people saw OEMs, and they saw kind of people professionally that they wanted to get to know. And so I think it created a buzz. And I think a lot of it was timing also. I mean, just to be frank with you, you can have a vision and you can have tenacity and the right marketing, everything, all the stars can be aligned, but if your timing isn't right, you're not going to you're not going to ignite. So so there was quite a bit of luck involved also.
And then what were the next 2 years, 3 years after that? I mean, were you building NEDAS exponentially?
Frankly, I was in charge of it for only about 2 years.
It was only 2 years. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, from infancy to handing the baton to Alyssa, I think it was less. I think it was 18 months.
And how did that happen? I mean, how did Alyssa end up in your sphere? Because I know she had a lot to learn to onboard with this. I mean, she's been out there and she knows a million people, but in terms of specializing in this particular arena, what was it that made you say, that's the person to carry this ball forward?
Yeah, I spoke with a number of different people, and I think I have a pretty good gut. I was a bartender for a while, so I can read people typically. In about 20 seconds, I can read somebody. Am I going to be able to work with this person or not? And I think I talked with a number of different people, kind of gave them the elevator pitch, which basically was, hey, I've built this great organization. I need to divest from it. I need to move on to the next stage of my career. Are you interested? And I would give them the numbers, and say, here's where we're at. Here's where I think it'll go. Are you interested or not? Went through a couple of different people. And then I got to Alyssa, and with Alyssa it was different. It wasn't strictly a ROI kind of thing. With Alyssa it was much more, she was much more interested in philosophy and the community and building the community.
She's heart.
And she's got big heart. So that felt like the right solution to me, Regardless, economics didn't really matter. It was finding the right person to carry it forward. And she's done a great job, and she's continued to grow it. So, so
how have you stayed involved? I mean, since you passed that particular baton over, it's not like you've left. You haven't gone anywhere. I mean, you've been a power member of this all the way along. But how has it changed, I guess, from where you started the concept?
Well, let's see. So from where I started till today. I would say it's deepened. I wouldn't say it hasn't. I don't think it's grown exponentially. I think there are more events, but I think that the quality of it has gotten better.
I mean, from your perspective, in terms of the stuff that you're doing in your own career.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I mean, so I've had to take a step way back, and I had to, totally divest, because obviously you don't want conflict of interest.
Sure, of course.
So I took a step back and I joined the advisory council, and I've just been more involved kind of in the background, providing, constructive feedback when Alyssa asks for it.
Who better?
Being involved whenever I can, doing shout outs and tweets and LinkedIn messages to help promote the events because I want her to do well. And it also, I mean, I think that it helps somewhere. I've been at Boingo for the last 4 years, very happy there. And it's a perfect match for me. And so NEDAS, I think, complements that also, because what I do now is directly related to NEDAS's mission statement.
Absolutely.
And so I think it helps out Boingo's reputation. I think it helps out mine. I think it helps out Alyssa. I think it's a mutually beneficial kind of thing for everybody. So yeah.
It very much is.
Yeah.
And you're basically.
I sound like a corporate guy, don't I?
You do. Well, you're spending all your time designing socks. This is what those of you who weren't here at the meeting don't know is that Ezra is responsible for putting all of us in socks here. That's really all he does with Boingo.
Yeah. Melody Walker in marketing, wherever you are. Awesome job.
Thank you.
Everybody loves them. Made in North Carolina.
The socks just vanished all of a sudden. They're so fun. Let's talk about, okay, so you just said that what you're doing at Boingo really directly aligns with the vision of what's happening here at NEDAS.
Yeah.
When you come to the meeting now and you get an opportunity to network with people that you've known for many, many years, what is the news story that you can tell them about what's taking place at Boingo, and where do you align with the stories that they're telling from the NEDAS stage here?
Can you say that again?
Yeah, so
Backwards?
in terms of the technology I mean, look, Boingo is so customer facing. It's one of those that no matter where you are within any telecom sphere, or even if you're just a regular consumer, you know Boingo because you're utilizing Boingo on a constant basis. For the people here that are trying to build the network of tomorrow, to build the data center, the connectivity of tomorrow, to figure out the aggregation of the wireless and the wireline, how is that fitting together with what Boingo is doing today?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So today was a great example. Today I noticed a sea change in the content that was presented at this conference, and it's focused on 5G, CBRS, LAA, millimeter wave, all that. And you listen to all these security, you name it. But when I go up to 10,000 feet and I kind of squint my eyes and I look at all the panels, I mean, I think the future is, I'm certain the future is going to be CBRS or OnGo. So that's my takeaway from today.
And we kicked off today's meeting with CBRS, and there was a very good reason for doing it.
Yeah. And I know everyone's been talking about it. Everyone's talking about 5G and this and that, but I think it's less and less going to be 5G, and I think it's really going to be CBRS and OnGo. And OnGo is kicking off September 18th down in DC with the CBRS Alliance. And so how does that relate to Boingo? Boingo launched the first CBRS trial at Dallas Love Field a couple months ago. Yeah, and I think people, maybe they didn't pay so much attention to it.
I didn't know that until this moment.
Well, so there you go.
There you have it.
Yeah. And a couple of weeks ago, we did a site walk out there with the airport and with a notable Tier 1 carrier who I probably shouldn't name, but it's my favorite Tier 1 carrier.
Okay, Brand X.
That I used to work for.
Okay, there you have it.
But everyone was really impressed by the trial. And so, so I think the direction that NEDAS has pivoted, and it's less DAS, and it's more 5G, small cell, LAA, CBRS, and I think that's aligning well with what Boingo is doing, because that's a direction that we're heavily invested in, both in terms of R&D and software, hardware development. Our new CEO, Mike Finley, is a huge proponent of 5G, and he's directing us to really focus on that. So I think both ships are kind of moving in the same direction at the same time. So it feels right. Yeah, and I think next summer, in the next 12 months, I think there's going to be a real change in the direction of the industry. I think in a good way. I think it's going to be reinvigorated.
You bring up a bit of an interesting point, because we may have to have a rebrand here at some particular point. Carrie Charles was talking about that as well, where she's saying we're not even sure that the phrase telecom is going to be around in a couple of years, because things are shifting so dramatically. And you're right, we're not just talking about DAS capabilities. DAS is a part of the puzzle, but the puzzle is a much bigger scale back of vision.
Yeah,
it's connectivity.
It's high bandwidth connectivity. Wherever you go. So I don't even want to call it, but OnGo is actually a great name for the CBRS Alliance. So I think something having to do with going and experiencing and connecting and all of that, whatever adjective you want to use. Yeah.
Something tells me you may have to step back into a bit of a leadership role. You and Alyssa can align with one another and figure out, all right, what does our branding look like moving forward from this point? You, Steve, and Alyssa can sit down and kind of put those pieces together.
Yeah.
All right, so the last thing that I want to ask you, and then we'll put the button on our talk here today, is from your personal perspective, what really excites you the most about where we're headed? What is the thing that really just jazzes you up about what it is that we're going to be accomplishing together as an organization, as a collective of thinkers over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think so. Assuming that everyone doesn't become, Luddites and totally just, throw their cell phones out the window. I think moving in the direction of high quality augmented reality combined with ubiquitous, low latency, autonomous, whatever, vehicles, drones, you name it. I think telemedicine. I think our experience of the virtual world. I think it's going to meld with reality more, and I think that's pretty exciting. And I sort of caveat that with, I really hope people don't start going full VR. I hope it becomes more AR, because I think AR is really interesting.
Of course.
And even just going back a couple of years when Yelp had this kind of AR application where you could, plug in your search and ask for, I want to see all the Thai restaurants in the neighborhood. You kind of hold it up and through the camera. Yeah. I think that sort of in a glasses, that's not Google Glass, but that's similar. I think that's going to start happening, and I think that's when it gets really exciting. When you have low latency, great definition, 4K augmented reality, I think that's going to be really cool.
Couldn't agree more. I just saw, had a great AR experience. It reminds me exactly what you're talking about. The Lascaux caves in the south of France, which are the oldest of the cave painting areas.
In the Dordogne?
In the Dordogne, exactly. Well done. So in Les Aisies, but they just opened Lascaux 4 about a year ago. And I had been to all the others, but I finally got a chance to go back, and sure enough, what is at the forefront of it? AR. So you take the tour through, for the first part of it, of the cave reconstruction, which is to the millimeter perfection of reconstruction. But then you go into a gigantic room and the entire thing is AR. They hand you a device and you literally walk through the cave yourself, interacting with all of the paintings on the wall. You're taking history that's going back an extraordinary amount of time, 20,000 years and more, and you are interacting with it with a modern technology. It is incredibly exciting.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Yeah, education, I mean, forget about entertainment, that education aspect is going to be huge, especially for kids, adults, whoever.
And it feels native to them.
Yeah,
to them it makes perfect sense, but to guys our age, it's a completely different experience.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Imagine what colleges, universities going to be like in 10 years. I mean, it's probably going to be, AR is probably going to be heavily, heavily involved in that. And every place you go, I think it's going to be it's going to be a tool in the toolbox, but I think a pretty critical one. So, yeah.
It's pretty sharp. And a lot of the people who are out here on the other side of those glass doors are the people who are going to help bring it all to us, which is very cool.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Well, Ezra, thank you for getting this thing off the ground all those many moons ago, and for continuing to be such a fantastic part.
Thanks for being a great host.
Really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much. And again, thanks to all of you for being a part of it.